If the church needs money, there's urgent need for money. The church needs money, maybe to rent a place or to pay for the expenses, maybe to buy properties or whatever. What should the church do? How do they go about this? We know that we've met as believers and there is need for money. We need to gather money together. What should we do? What kind of teachings should we give to ourselves to ask ourselves to bring money? And there are people who are among us who are very rich. They will support the church. How do we go about it? This is very important because the way we go about it, the kind of doctrines we use, would either bring curse to us or blessing and cause us to increase or cause us to be deprived. So it's a very delicate issue. There's a point that in this world, money is needed for everything. The church needs money. We met and we need money for whatever we need. How do we collect the money? Should we keep quiet and say, okay, God will provide? Meanwhile, the money is with us. We are supposed to put the money together. So we need to tell ourselves to bring money. What do? There are two ways. One way is to destruction, and one way is to life that will even cause us to increase. So let us look at the Bible, what Apostle Paul preached to the church concerning this same issue. There's money needed. How did the Apostle went about it? How did he go about it? And he was the one who was teaching the Gentile churches. Don't forget that in the days of the apostles, the church were divided into the Gentiles and then the Jews. The apostles, James, John, and Peter were sent to the Jews, and the apostles, Paul, Barnabas, and later Timothy and Silas were sent to the Gentiles for a very great purpose, that the doctrines will not be mixed. Because in Acts chapter 15, verse 22 to 29, Acts chapter 15, verse 22 to 29, the apostles have strictly warned and written a letter that nobody should teach anything concerning the law of Moses and the customs of the Jews to the Gentile churches. They wrote a special letter on this and sent Silas and Paul and Barnabas to also to go and preach them by mouth. So that was a serious issue, a serious matter. Acts chapter 15, verse 22 to 29. Acts chapter 21, verse 20 and 25, they repeated this. They said to themselves, brethren, Paul, they said to Paul, you know, we are Jews, we are believers, we are zealous of the law, the customs of Moses and the fathers. But we have written and concluded that no such thing should be taught to the Gentiles. Verse 25, Acts 21. So the doctrines were divided. Getting to 2, from verse 8 and 9, the apostles separated themselves. Peter, James, and Cephas, and Paul and Barnabas, who parted ways. And Apostle Paul spoke and said in Romans chapter 11, verse 13, I am the apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify my office. That was the credential of Apostle Paul. So let's listen to what this apostle preached to the church. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 1 to 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 1 to 4. There's a need for money. Look at how he went about it. Now concerning the collection for the saints, I have given order to the churches of Galatia, even so do you. This church of Galatia and this current church, they're all Gentile churches that were specified as Gentile churches, in which the letter was written to. Upon the first day of the week, verse 2, let everyone that we meet in the first day of the week. The Jewish church were meeting on the seventh day, that's the Sabbath. But the Gentile churches were meeting on the first day of the week, Sundays, as we are doing today. Let every one of you lay by him in store as God has prepared him, that there be no gatherings when I come. So anyone, when you are coming to church, there's a need for money. He's coming to collect the money. When he comes, he needs the money. He's the overall apostle of the churches. He needs the money to run, to go somewhere, to feed. This money he was collecting them for the saints in Judea. So there was a need for money. No matter what the money was used for, depend how the money was being planned to be used. Every first Sunday of the week, when we meet, whatever we have, we give. Pay particular attention that this man, who was a Pharisee, who knew everything about the law of Moses, did not mention tithe, first fruits, sacrifices, vows. He said collection. And as God has prepared everybody to give, that's what the person is going to give. Now, 2 Corinthians chapter 9. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, the same apostle, from verse 6 to 8. Then we can read even further down to 15. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6. But this I say, he which sow sparingly shall reap also sparingly. So he was telling them that, well, if you are stingy and you are giving stingy, well, that's what you are going to reap. But he who sow bountifully shall reap also bountifully. If you will give bountifully, you're also going to reap bountifully. Let every man according as he purposed in his heart. If you think you are going to give sparingly, you can give. If you think you are going to give bountifully, you can give. So there's no measure. You are going to measure yourself. The measurement is going to come from you. Let the person give as you purpose in your heart, not grudgingly or of necessity. These two words are very important. Not that somebody is forcing you to do so. Somebody is pressuring you to give. It shouldn't be grudging. So you have maybe 10. Why are these people so money conscious, asking money all the time? Don't let anybody force you. You can give or you can decide not to give. You will see for the next verse what that means. Of necessity. I'm giving this because I'm poor. I want God to help me to buy a house. I want God to help me to win money. I want God to help me to buy a car. I want God to help me to have babies. That's why I'm giving this sacrifice. No, not of necessity. Why? Because he said God loves a cheerful giver. Somebody who's giving to him cheerfully, not grudgingly or of necessity because it has become a need. I have to give it, whether I have it or not. No, cheerful giver. And you can decide to give bountifully or sparingly. It doesn't matter. The measurement should come from you. Nobody is forcing you. Verse 8, and God is able to make all grace abound towards you, whether you have sparingly or bountifully. God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that you, having all sufficiency in all things, not only in money, everything, you may abound to every good work. God will make sure, when you talk about good work, in fact, if you don't have money, you can't do anything good. You can build houses, you can buy assets, you can anything good. You can't help people if you don't have any money. So to do good, God has supplied you everything in bountifully. All sufficiency abound towards you. You have all sufficiency. Then the apostle prayed from verse 10. Him that ministers seed to the sower. This is a prayer. It's a word of authority. He that ministers seed to the sower Minister bread for your food and multiply your seed sown. That is why he said bountifully or sparingly. Because whatever you are going to sow, he was going to pray that that thing should multiply. That thing you have sown. So imagine somebody, for example, in the world, let's say that you invest 1 million. You invest 1 million. And somebody invested only $10,000 in dollars. Who do you think is going to reap more when shares, for example, shares? Or let's say you buy, even you put your money maybe in a fixed deposit. You put $1 million. Somebody put $10,000. Who is going to get more? Of course. So that seed you sown, God is going to multiply it. That is why I use the word sparingly or bountifully. Depends upon you. But it's not a grudge. It doesn't matter. The one who invested 10,000 will also reap. The one who invested 1 million will also reap. It's not a force. And here, the apostle, again, the apostle did not mention tithe. He didn't mention first fruit. He didn't mention vow. He didn't mention sacrificial offerings. Why? Because he said God is able to make all grace, and these things are not grace. The only thing God can do to help you is to cause you to receive abundant grace, but not by the law, because the law is not of grace. And the apostle, the same apostle, was warning the church in Galatians 5, verse 4 and 8. Galatians 5, verse 4 and 8. He said, Christ become of no effect. The effect of Christ cannot be felt in the church. Any one of you who justify yourself by the law, you fall from the grace. This grace that God can abound towards your life, so you have sufficiency. The moment you justify yourself by the law, I pay my tithe, I sow my seed, I give first fruit, I give vows, I give sacrifices. You broke the grace which God is working to cause you to become abound in all things. That was why he's saying this. So his prayer is that he who minister seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food and multiply your seed sown and increase the fruit of your righteousness, the good deeds you are doing, increase it, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which you call people to thank God because of you. Because James and John has written before that when you want to show your faith, you have to demonstrate that faith. And he gives an example of that demonstration of faith. James says something in James chapter 2. If we begin from verse 14, but let's pick it here from verse 17. No, let's begin from verse 14. Yes. James chapter 2. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith save him? Faith without works, he says, is dead. What's the works? He said, if a brother or sister be naked or and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto you, depart in peace, be ye warm and fed, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being alone. It must be demonstrated. Faith must be demonstrated. Apostle Paul said, if you have faith as everything, that can remove mountains, but you don't have charity, you can't show this love. Charity. Give people charity. You say that faith is nothing. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 2. From verse 1 to 3, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, you can speak every tongue, but you don't have charity. You are just making noise. You know everything. You know every knowledge. You have everything, but you can't have charity. He says you are nothing. Why? Because this is what Apostle John said in 1 John chapter 3. This is what Apostle Paul said. 1 John chapter 3. He said, verse 16 to 18, 1 John chapter 3. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our life for our brethren. How? Is it because we kill ourselves? No. Not that we could kill ourselves on the cross as Jesus killed ourselves. Look at what he said. He said, but whosoever has this world's goods, that is why God will cause you to have abundance in this world goods, and see his brother have needs, and shut up his bowels of compassion from him. How draw the love of God in him? My little children, verse 18, let us not laugh in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. If you can't show the love, and you say you love somebody, what's the love? How do you show? That is why God has to increase you so that you have abundance in everything, rich in everything, but not because you are paying tithes, sowing seed, and vain vows and first fruit. That will bring curse to you if you do that. Because Apostle Paul has warned that even that one will cause you to not to receive the grace, but God is working for grace. And he said that he who ministered to you the Spirit and work miracles to bring this thing up to you, it is not by the works of the law, it's by healing faith, which is the grace of God. Because as many as of the works of the law and the curse. Galatians 3, verse 5 and 10. And the law is not of faith, verse 12. Galatians chapter 3, verse 10, verse 5. He therefore that ministered to the Spirit and work miracles. Because all these things is about miracles. The Spirit work miracles. It's not by the works of the law. It's not by tithe. It's not by first fruit. It's not by vows. It's not by sacrificial offering. It's by grace, faith in the grace. Why? Because it said, as many as of the works of the law and the curse, no blessings. Galatians 3:10. And the law is not of faith, and you need faith. Jesus said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you say, speak to this mountain, be removed, and nothing should be impossible to you. Matthew 17:20. But Apostle is saying, the law, the works of the law, is not of faith. Galatians 3:12. The apostles, even Peter, James, and John in Jerusalem, do you know why they became prosperous and rich? It was because great grace was given to them, not because of the law. Acts chapter 4, verse 33 to 37. Great grace came upon them. So a lot of them begin to have access, properties, and everything. So when the church needs money, they can load the church with billions and billions so that they can distribute to everybody. Grace, not law. Grace. Grace, grace, grace. That will cause the church to increase and multiply in wealth and riches. Grace. So if we need money in the church, let us avoid tithes, mentioning tithe, first fruit, vows, sacrificial offerings. Let us avoid them as Apostle Paul did. And let grace. I remember in the church, we didn't mention any tithe. When we need money, we just collect offering. And the money we have is even more. We will have is even more than every person who is even collecting tithe and offering. Grace, and the people will continue to prosper. Because we can only prosper under grace. Because under the law, there's curse. Stay tuned and advise yourself. Don't let anybody put law upon you because they bring curses upon you and will destroy your life. You think you have many. You are receiving, oh, I pay tithe, I have this. Tragedy will strike you because curse will be following you. And you will not like that. And God also doesn't want that to happen. So stay tuned and stay blessed.